Okay, so welcome everyone. I am so glad that you all can join us for another discussion on democratizing business capital and the securities legal space. I am Elizabeth, managing attorney of Elizabeth L. Carter Esquire LLC, which is also the host of this interview series entitled Democratizing Business Capital, Black Capital Matters, or hashtag Black Capital Matters, with sponsorship by Law for Economic Democracy. I am also joined by Chanique Ross, law clerk for the law firm, as well as a third-year law student at John Marshall Law School at University of Illinois in Chicago. Shanique will be assisting with the Q&A portion of the interview, which will occur during the final 15 minutes. We ask that you put all your questions in the chat, and we will address them at the end of the interview at that time. So the purpose of this interview series is to help democratize business capital through an exposition of Black capital in all its variety. More specifically, we hope to increase representation of Black investors, small businesses, or Black small businesses, and capital formation intermediaries within the business capital space, which, by the way, is in desperate need of racial equity. This is especially true where Black businesses remain systematically under-resourced, especially in light of COVID-19. It has been reported that COVID-19 forced 41% of Black-owned businesses to close compared to just 17% of white-owned businesses. This is in part due to the insufficient institutional support of Black businesses, such as the PP loan program and others. Thus, in order to help solve this crisis, Black businesses will need greater access to investors and capital structures designed to counter these systematic issues faced by this group. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Vanessa Sirvels, founder of BUPeriod, an early stage startup in femtech that provides innovative menstrual health products and services for girls, women, and all who menstruate, who may be at a risk of iron deficiency, anemia due to uterine fibroids, and other menstrual health issues. She is also a menstrual health consultant for communities of color that have been traditionally underrepresented and underserved in menstrual health. And currently, Vanessa is a member of the eLab NYC Biotech Accelerator 2020 and entrepreneur in residence at the NYU Tandem Future Lab. In addition, Vanessa volunteers her time and business services for three amazing and phenomenal nonprofit teams of vibrant, unapologetic engineers called We Build Black, Black Girls Code, and Tech Innovation. So, hi, Vanessa, welcome.
Hello, and thank you for having me, Elizabeth.
This is a pleasure of mine. I'm so excited and thank you for being the first interviewee of Black Capital, hashtag Black Capital Matters series. So I'm just looking forward to diving right into the question.
Gosh, there's so many levels to that. I'm excited to get talking.
Yes, okay. So first question. Can you describe BUPeriod and how you came to found it? What is BUPeriod?
BUPeriod was the baby that I never gave birth to due to uterine fibroids.
Wow.
I had to manage uterine fibroids. For those of you who don't know, they are benign tumors that grow in and around the woman's uterine cavity and can cause very disruptive periods and even infertility. I unfortunately was not able to have a live childbirth with my now ex-husband. But for 10 years, what I did do instead was research and research and research, because there was a lack of understanding on my part about my body. There was a lack of communication within my immediate network, friends and family. And there was a complete disconnect between me and the healthcare system. So after discovering ways to manage the symptoms, once I realized that there's no cure and no one knows where these benign tumors, where they come from, I said, okay, well, let me at least figure out the symptoms so that my lifestyle is healthier and better. And once that was accomplished, which I am happy to say, I was able to eliminate 90% of my symptoms due to lifestyle choices around what I ate, what I consumed, and also the stress levels, stress management. So by the time that was done, I was able to have a nice baseline of my health. Then I was able to make an informed decision as to which surgery, which are many, to have, because at that point, unfortunately, my marriage had dissolved. And I figured, well, I might as well just get the fibroids out, because if I am going to have children, now's the time. So it was during recovery in 2015, I started to sketch out all of the different Frankenstein products that I would put together so that I wouldn't leak, so that I could be pain free, and so that I can get to work and back safely without leaking. I started sketching what I thought would be an amazing pad device that would talk to me and give me information about my body, because I'm like, the garbage knew more about my period than I did at that point. And it's been a journey since 2015. So the marriage dissolved, the fibroids were gone, and right when I was recovering from surgery, I got laid off. And so I was like, okay, this is a perfect storm for a beautiful collateral, is what that is. Collateral beauty, that's what that is. So I decided to go get my MBA, and it was there that BUPeriod was actually birthed, because I was challenged to come up with a social impact idea, either for Johnson and Johnson or as an entrepreneur. So I figured Johnson and Johnson had enough chances. It's my turn. And I went to an international business school, and so I was one of 10 Americans. And when I got finished with a 150-person survey, these women, they were from all over the world. My school represented 45 different countries. I saw the same common denominator. That was when I knew, boom, okay, there's an actual problem with menstrual health management and menstrual health equity, and shame, stigma, and taboo when it comes to menstrual health. I was like, okay, that's out the bag, right? Um, then I said, okay, well, I need to go and see for myself, taste, feel, touch. So after grad school, I traveled to MENA region, Middle East, North Africa, India, Eastern Europe. And yes, it was the same common denominator of hush, don't tell. We have these problems too. NGOs are shoving these different products down our throats, but they don't understand our system and how it works. Some of us don't even have the right complementary sanitation systems to go along with these products that are dropping from the sky. We just need someone who's going to listen. And so I thought about, dang, that was the same thing I was for 10 years, when doctors were telling me what to do, talking to me and not with me. And I don't blame them, because I did not know how to have a two-way conversation with them. So I saw, I just put together, all of this is local, national, and global. The gap within the gap of women's health within menstrual health. So I did my first prototype of the pad in school, and everybody was like, wow. Well, but it was like with sticks and stones and glue and bubble gum. But they still were like, wow. I think it was more of a wow factor of, you got a lot of bouillon to start talking about periods, lady. No one talks about periods. And then when I went to go pitch for the very first time, I was told it was a woman and two men. And the woman had nothing to say. The men basically told me, we think you're a great face, a great founder, a great voice, a great activist, but Johnson and Johnson, Procter and Gamble, they're going to smash you. They're going to kill you. So you may want to think about the different competition that's out there and see where your lane is. So that was my first taste of, oh, wow, this is what it's like to enter the world of capitalism for social impact and for social good, social entrepreneurship. And all I did was light a fire under my butt to say, okay, now now I have to, like, once you know the truth, you're responsible for it. And so that's when I did my travels, came back in 2017, joined an incubator to learn what it meant to be a startup. It was just me. And I said, okay, well, I have to build this prototype. I need help. I shook hands. I kissed babies, got to another incubator that was about prototypes. So I went from 1776 incubator to FutureWorks incubator here in Brooklyn. And FutureWorks gave me insight into the manufacturing process, what it takes, the language, the so many of the processes and the compliance and the standards. And I was like, okay, so I know that I'm going to need a team for that. Right. So that was, I said, I'm going to need a team, because that's not me and I'm not that. um, then I was promoted to my first accelerator, the Brooklyn Fashion Design Accelerator, because these products, all right, there's one thing to identify the problem. There's another thing to leapfrog and or not fully uh, be a thought leader, right? So when you think about women and their bodies, you're also thinking about the earth and its body. So Brooklyn Fashion Design Accelerator helped educate me on what it means for the full life cycle of the product and the as the end user uses this product, the sustainability aspect of it, and check off as many of the UN sustainability goals as I can. So that is where I got my education about how to think about being a thought leader in the world of manufacturing a product that I want to build for people who already are sensitive, cannot take toxins, cannot take chemicals, cannot take any more BS, right? Just like the earth. And that's where I discovered different renewable energies, renewable materials, which academia programs were working on different research with different uh, food grade materials. And like you just mentioned, I graduated and went to eLab NYC Biotech and Health, Bio and Health Tech Accelerator. I had just completed in June. And that was where I learned, wow, from the grain, the raw materials up until you get your first sale are verticals that for you to be sustainable and successful, you need to have a strategy for. And you need legal and you need protection and you need mentors, advisors. Basically, you cannot do this in a bubble. You cannot do this in a vacuum, right? So when we talk about underserved and underrepresented communities, I got a big picture of all the access that we don't have because I had it. So because I was able to get that access, I said, my goodness, we don't have any of this. I said, this is amazing. It was like my eyes were open for the first time. It was like, these successful businesses are done with massive partnerships, networks, mergers, acquisitions. They use their IP as strategy. That was the first time I learned that you don't just get a patent just for patent's sake. You could be have a whole bunch of patents and be broke as hell. Or you could have a one design patent that you can maximize over the lifetime of your company. And when I learned that, I said, wow, like I said, access. And so I am grateful that I was able to graduate eLab with my patents submitted. So our design and functional patents submitted, pro bono legal team, low discount legal team, connections to uh, just connections and access. I could not imagine back in 2015 when I was sketching out this product, the BUP Smart Pad, that the product is the very last thing that you do. There's so much building that involves people and ecosystems and strategy that the product sells itself, right? So it's the product is the very last thing that I learned that you deal with. And not to say that that's the case for everyone, but I did it in a way that I'm grateful for because if BUPeriod never took off, I can sit and talk to any minority or underrepresented person within the entrepreneur ecosystem and give them a damn map and give them a journey, right? So I'm very extremely grateful for all the access, and I only got that access because I jumped. I only got that access because others saw my color and my gender, and I didn't. I used it, honey. When they say use your card, I played every single last card in my deck unabashedly, unashamedly, unapologetically. I'm here. What do you have? Okay, well, what you got left over? Okay, well, then can I get on the waiting list? I'll wait. And when I realized the drive, the extra drive that I had to have to get access, I said, I'm fine with it as long as I get the access. Access is more, when I discovered that access is power, access, you know, you can think you need to raise a bunch of money, but if you have access to a Fortune 500 legal team that's willing to do pro bono and or, you know, exchange for equity or whatever, and they are just as invested in you winning as you are, that's priceless. So
Right.
today, BUPeriod is still in the early stages. Due to COVID, we had to um, pivot. So since 2019, we've been doing educational workshops for youth, educational workshops for young adults. Our target demographic is 18 to 32. With our partnership with Cornell University, we discovered that on average, it literally takes post your first period, on average 10 to 12 years before someone sees their first uh, GYN or medical professional due to shame, stigma, and taboo. Some of them think they're dying. And I'm talking about educated college students that when they got their periods, for the first time, they didn't know what it was or it was not properly explained. So early on, when I told you that during my fibroid journey, I discovered the first thing was lack of knowledge of my body. The second was lack of community communication. That is a common denominator. So BUPeriod is not just the pad. It's not just IoT. It's not just, you know, the latest, greatest, you know, iPhone of pads. BUPeriod is a new way to bridge the gap towards menstrual health equity. And so that's education, that's access, that's affordability, that's community, right? And so everyone who's aligned with BUPeriod must have like-minded mission and vision so that this is not going to be another opportunity to exploit. And I said it, to exploit people who are underserved and underrepresented. And when we talk about menstrual health, it is Black and Brown women. The National Institute of Health, they have the stats. I didn't write it. They got it. 1 out of 7 women will have uterine fibroids by the time that they're 32, about 32% of 50% by the time they're 32. And 1 out of 3 are Black women. Mm-hmm. So it was me and then every other friend of mine. We started dropping like flies to these. I said, what? I said, this is a pandemic within itself. So if I know that, and I'm doing the calculations, and I know that the products out there are just quick temporary solutions for a permanent issue that can lead to a hysterectomy, which, by the way, are 600,000 per year on average in the United States. Half are due to uterine fibroids. And if 1/3 of uterine fibroid carriers are Black women whose uteruses are being taken out. Mm. And we only represent 12% of the women in this country. What does that sound like to y'all? That sounds like elimination to me. So I'm thinking about that and the importance of being a thought leader in this industry. It ain't but 5 or 6 of us. It's like picking raisins out of a bowl of oatmeal. You got, you know, Honey Pot, my good friend, Bay Dixon. She took her grandmother's recipe to use herbs and natural products for pads and washes. We have Family Box down in DC, a young lady who she lost her baby due to issues with her menstrual health. And I mean, there's so many women. There's Panty Prop, now it's called Ruby Love, and they're all bootstrapped, all up there pitching and trying to raise funds and being told the same things that I'm being told. I've been told, all right, We love the concept, but we think you should do a version like the Dollar Shave Club. Remove the tech. Don't worry about the tech part, but do like a Dollar Shave Club for period pads. And I'm just looking at them. They said, stay in your lane. And all I can say was, two white guys, I said, thank you for your feedback. Then a black guy, stay in your lane. Remove the tech. You don't need that. It's too complicated. You're overcomplicating things. It's just a period. I'm like, then I was told in San Francisco, like I said, before I really started getting into the thick of things, I traveled because I needed to know who's who. And I went to a workshop where the guy said, look, I'm gonna be very honest with you. Here in Silicon Valley, you're a black woman. So you're black, you're a woman, and you're talking about periods. You should start a WhatsApp group and just build a community and see where that takes you. And he was being sincere. And I said, thank you for your feedback, you know? And
So Vanessa, why is the text so important? Why
because,
not a pad? Why not?
Let me tell you why. Because for the past 100 years, the definition of insanity is what? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. The pads have been one size fits all. The pads have had chemicals and toxins. The tampons have been killing with toxic shock syndrome. There has been zero research. So I'm doing the numbers. Like by 2025, they're saying that our net worth is going to be zero. Out of the 300,000 hysterectomies due to uterine fibroids, a third are black women. I'm like, when you go get a surgery for fibroids or endometriosis, the chances of you getting more are 50%. We don't have time for human beings to sit down and try to get it right, right? We need to innovate. And since technology is in a place where it's fundable, number one, two, can be used to hack for social good, and three, gives us an opportunity to have equity in technology, which is the future, you might as well use it to solve problems, which is what capitalism was all about in the first place. You come up with an idea to solve a problem in society and you make a profit, right? That's really it. We failed. We don't really have time. So the use of technology in women's health is called femtech. So gone are the days of feminine hygiene. There's nothing hygienic about menstrual health. It is a health. It is women's health. So the gap is so big that if we can be innovative with ways to reach the masses, which is what social media, you can reach them overnight, but you got to be strategic because once again, we've been exploited from hair care products to skincare products, all different types of products that we're not making, but we're buying. We're spending 1.2 trillion on everybody else's product and manufacturing and imports, but we're not coming up with our own solutions. And if we are, it's not cohesive and we don't know about it. So technology, in my opinion, is a wonderful way for everyone to get on the same page, wonderful way to document, wonderful way to quickly disperse and share information, and a wonderful way to measure, measure your KPIs and quickly test, right? So as far as technology with the actual product, we know that the current products are not working for women who have heavy flow, right? So BUPeriod is really targeting on women who are like myself that has heavy flow. You may not have fibroids, you may have endometriosis, or you may not know what you have. You may just want to know your body, right? Why not have technology help you figure out your body, right? Most of the time, we're not going to sit there and wipe ourselves and smell our finger. We're not going to sit there and look at the pad, look at the color. We're not going to talk about ourselves. We're just not doing it. There's a long road to eliminate stigma, shame, and taboo. But I believe technology can help cut that time in half, make the process easier and more equitable.
Wow, wonderful. I mean, you said so much, so many different points that I'm glad that you're tackling them now. And just quickly, how would you define femtech? Like, what is it? Just the
Femtech
yeah,
is technology for women's health.
got it.
So we have it in reproductive, menstrual, menopause. We have sexual. We have uh, uh, especially in fertility, and now the good, the bad, and the ugly. Which one y'all want first?
The good.
The good is finally they're throwing money at us. They're throwing money at women is all right. We are hot. We're the trend. It's not just makeup stockings and red bottoms, right? Now it's, oh, okay. They actually bleed too. Yeah, for 7 days, buddy. And we still live to talk about it. Right. So now it's like, okay, yes, there is access to resources to finally address women's health. What you want next, the bad or the ugly?
The ugly.
I'm gonna just I'm gonna go with the bad. The bad is that hardly any women are leading.
Hmm.
The money's not coming from women. We have a small percentage like Portfolio. We have Blue Sky Ventures. We have Springboard Enterprises. We have Golden Seed Angels. We have New Voices Fund, but compared to the overall VC world, my gosh, it is a very small portion that's available, that's led by those who identify as women and those who are biologically women. Y'all ready for the ugly?
Go ahead.
Data, baby. Data makes the world go round. So now we're venturing for the first time since Eve, women's health, a care about it. Over $3 billion have been invested. And it's not going towards curing or looking for better ways of management and on preventative. It's going towards data extraction. So, where's the value exchange, in my opinion, is where it gets very ugly. The privacy and the transparency when it comes to like I said earlier, before technology, before anything, we don't even talk about our periods. It's on Flo or the rag or my P. Diddy or 28 days later. Like we don't even, and then we leapfrog to where all of that data is stored on a cloud somewhere and being sold off in bits and pieces because companies that may have a good intent for women's health did not do the due diligence of understanding that it's not just a period, and we're not just women, that we have a mental and emotional connection to our bodies, that we have a community that's around us that may be influencing how we think about our bodies, and that we have external systems that have been politicizing our bodies, right? And so when you're building, you have to have all of that in the back of your mind, everything from your first line of code to every email that you bring in through your lead page, to every character that's received on your web app, to your cloud app, to by the time you get to your product, your customer needs to know that you've got their back and that you are a trustworthy brand and that they have say over what happens to the data about their bodies. And that's the ugly, that's not what's happening right now.
Mm.
And so as far as raising capital is concerned or getting interest is concerned, that's too much work. Like, how you gonna get into the market? You thinking about all that stuff? No, we need you out in the market. We need you getting customers. We need a sales funnel. We need a channel. Ain't no time for you to try to figure out all that soft stuff.
So you mentioned earlier the opportunities from these accelerator programs, both from finding attorneys, other professional support and receiving some financial support. But then also, like this, to your point now, it seems like you also been facing some challenges, particularly because of your own approach to the industry. What kind of challenges have you faced?
Absolutely. So here's the good, the bad, and the ugly about that. I'm gonna just go with the good. A lot of money out there because of Black Lives Matter, because of Black Capital Matters, because there has been a cry out of the statistics of the lack of funding that goes towards people of color, specifically women of color, people of the diaspora. Okay, fine, great. That's cool. Then the bad is there can only be one. It's only one. So out of the Black femtech leaders and CEO, only one or two has gotten massive funding out of all of the femtech companies, right? That's Ruby Love. She raised Christine Crystal raised $15 million from a London-based / San Francisco-based company. And they completely changed her brand. They completely changed, everything. You could just tell that, And so the ugly. We got to start somewhere. And we have to, Vegas can't be choosy, and you got to crawl before you walk. But at what point do we not give up so much equity? It's like, all right, we are building for our communities, but at the same time, will we still be vested? Will we still have decision making abilities if we don't own the companies anymore?
Right. And so what type of funding, and on that same point, because that's a good point, what type of funding have you sought? And when you're speaking about this control piece, what type of funding is that? What funding leads you to that situation?
I am 97% owner of BUPeriod. That, my products thus far has been educational workshops. There are several ways that I can go about this, and that most people of color have the opportunity to go about this. So far, I've raised $30,000 in 3 years. So that doesn't scream unicorn. That doesn't scream zebra. That doesn't scream, that screams, it's nice, but 30,000, that's a dime in a bucket, right? But it's mostly been bootstrapped. I have a small angel. I have a very, very, very small angel. I had my savings and pitch competitions. And I said,
explain that. I was going to say, explain the pitch competitions, because from my understanding, it's a place to get a certain type of access to funding, whether it's venture capital, angel. What were you seeking in those competitions?
So I knew that I was too early for angel and forget venture. So you have your friends and family round, you have your seed, your pre-seed, your seed, and then once you get to A, B, C, and D, you have made up. Once you get to A, you've made up your mind that you're ready to either give away most of your company and or merge with a bigger corporate. So for this conversation, we're going to stick with not non-dilutive or not as diluted, right? So when you pitch, the goal is you're pitching for equity free, non-dilutive funds, meaning they're just going to give you the money and wish you all the best for you to get started.
So there's like grants, are there, or is it equity?
No, just grants. Okay. Grants, straight grants, right? When you pitch. Then when you get to the accelerator stage, which is the stage that I'm at, which now I'm ready to be at the accelerator stage. I went through the kindergarten. Now we're at first grade. You could think of it like that. First grade is an accelerator takes you on to give you the next level of injection of not just resources, but funding, right? So this will be your first $100,000 to $150,000 in exchange for a small equity return. but they have your best interest at hand.
Now, are these angel investors? Are these venture capital? What are
No,
they?
these are incubating. So an incubator, excuse me, an accelerator is, think of it like school, right? You're there every day from 9 to 5, and you're running your business under their supervision, and they are guiding you from objective, milestone check, great, objective, milestone check, and they're keeping you. They're literally molding you and your company into what it needs to be to get out there and get the returns that you said you want. And they now have a vested interest. So they're going to get their top subject matter experts to ensure that you have all the resources and the opportunity to have a mindset for success. Right. And so to me, that's money well earned. All right. You want 3% of my company, and I know you're going to be vested in it because you helped build, you helped me grow. Got you. Right now,
Okay.
that, so it's not angel, it's not VC, it's like pre-seed money, right? And they're a collective group that they may work with other angel investors or foundations or fellowships. It all depends on the accelerator.
Okay.
Then once you're done with that, there's you're entering the market. And so the first thing you do to test yourself to enter the market is not ask for more money, but find out if your product is even a product. Crowdfunding. And there are many different ways, for you to you can crowdfund and use a platform. If you're a woman, called I Fund Women, right? And they do charge you, but they help you build the story around what it means to be a female founder, and it's only women on the platform. You could do something like a Kickstarter, right? Or you can do like Kiva. Kiva gives out micro loans when you do your crowd fund, and you pay it back over time.
You
They all
definitely, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you definitely have a approach to the funding of your business more diversified. You have grants, you have,
yes,
okay.
absolutely diversified. So what I'm sharing with you is what my fundraising strategy is,
Got it.
right?
Got
So
it.
and then you have the like Republic. Republic is everyone who invests, uh they now have a little percentage of your business, right? That
Okay, that's the
crowdfunding
problem. Mm-hmm.
platform is, it makes it more equitable, so you don't have to be worth over $250,000 just to invest in a company, and you can reap some of the benefits. So a platform like Republic will allow your family members, right, your friends, the people who really believe in you, who can't afford to give you $250,000, but they can give you $250, right,
Investment crowdfunding,
for a
right.
little
Mm-hmm.
piece. That means you get to involve your community, right?
So I have a question,
And
Vanessa,
mm-hmm.
just because I know the time is gone, we have so much to kind of cover, and I'm so
Sorry.
glad. No, this is, you covered. Basically, I'm gonna have to ask you questions. You're like just hitting every point, so this is good. But okay, so you mentioned VC a little bit earlier. Without you said it, but you're saying that the lack of control when you hit the seed stage, you don't own control. Is that venture capital? And then the next follow-up question is, 1% of venture capital funding has gone to Black founders, and even less than, I think, 0.006% to Black women. Why is it that Black founders like yourself are still going towards that route when it seems to be that industry is taking over a significant amount of control of your business if you do have access to it, but in those who don't, it seems like you're hitting your head against the wall trying to really get this funding that doesn't really pay you any mind. So I guess two questions. Yeah, on one hand,
well, so you have your seed, which is once you get to your seed, that's where it's the safest. That's your convertible notes. For those of you who are not familiar, it's once your company gets valued, then you get the money. But once you get a real valuation, then you can actually pay, start to give out shares of your company. So they actually give you time to build it up. Right. And if it doesn't happen, then either the note disappears or you pay them back in the form of a loan. So that's the cutoff. So you've got grants, savings, pitch competitions, accelerators, and then seed, where it's your earliest kind of big chunks, like 250,000 to yeah, like $250,000, and then that's it. That's the safe space, right? And that's the space for a company like myself that's incorporating uh data privacy, technology, hardware manufacturing, and then education, information, and building a community. You know, that's where people have seen that everyone who I have approached, it seems like the safest place for me to be. It was more of the educational route, more of the hand-holding route. It's a very slow route, don't get me wrong. It's been 3 years. So I've been building equity in people, resources, and like I said, access to uh, goals and milestones being completed. So like an example is my pending patents. That's $50,000 to $80,000 that I could have went to an angel for, you know, or a VC for, or somebody like, all right, I'll give you 1,500 today. You give me 15,000 next week. You know, I could have did that. I could have went to Rome, but understanding value is not just dollars and cents. I said, oh, all I have to do is be connected to these people who believe in my mission and vision, because they are going to want to be connected to my success. And in exchange, I get a pro bono and or discounted asset.
Right. Right. And so that's also includes
my assets first. Let me build up my credentials. Let me build up my assets. Let me build up you know, I was told day one, I'm not going to mention any names. Like the first year I started, I'm thinking my idea is awesome and everything, Black female in the VC world. She was like, okay, great. Yeah, it sounds amazing. Wonderful. Get back to me when you have 50,000 subscribers. I was like, I don't even know that many people. Like, how long does it take to get that many people on social? I only got 500 followers. Like, you know, and that happens to be, and I'm going to be fully transparent, my weak spot. I'm more on the strategy side. You know, the marketing, branding, and communications, I know that I'm going to have to hire that out, right? I've tried it.
Right.
At least I've tried. I tried 3 times. I was not successful, right? Again, as a solo founder, there's only but so much you can do. So I said, that's when I discovered, especially for people who are underrepresented and underserved, we don't have to be carbon copies. We can find systems that work for us. And I said to myself, BUPeriod will build up collateral and assets and a network that will be so attractive that people will come to me to offer money. I will not have to go to them. And then that's when you sit down and can have a real conversation and make decisions, because you know, if you already know ahead of time that you want to contribute towards, because you can have it all, you just can't have it all at the same time, towards building wealth within your community, you can't sell. You can't.
Right. So let's talk about that. Oh, so it's a couple things I want to touch on. Like that is a very important
put myself on Front Street. It's probably a bunch of VCs like, oh yeah, she's not for us.
but the great part about that is you're diversifying. You mentioned crowdfunding. You can raise up to now $5 million.
Diversifying.
You know? Right.
First identifying what is value exchange for your business goals, your business milestones. What's an even exchange?
Mm-hmm.
If you have the privilege of time, people, and resources, what is an exchange that, all right, would have cost you a certain amount of money, but instead you decided to go another route to access that same asset?
Mm-hmm.
So diversification is key. 2, understanding your why, right? I know what my why is. I was the why. I was on the operating table. 1 out of 3 of my friends have it. Like, and your social impact, the impact that you want to leave a stain or you want to leave a mark. I'm trying to leave a mark, right? And it's unfortunate, but that's the American way. If you are a certain persuasion in this country, you have to make a decision if you're going to share your wealth and contribute towards wealth generation, or are you going to collect for yourself and watch everyone else's net worth to go down to zero? And it's
Right.
just that simple.
So let's talk about the team you mentioned earlier, the marketing, the legal. So,
Yes.
which is great. Your experience sounds like it's been favorable dealing with your attorneys, and it sounds like you realize that you don't have to do it all. You can hire a marketing, you can hire a social media person. How important is it that you have a representative team, a Black attorney, a Black accountant, a Black marketer? What does that mean for you? And how, and kind of a similar question, why is it so important that you're a Black woman in this space as well, in tech and in fintech?
So I feel like as long as I'm a Black woman and I'm the head, I'm the head, you know what, in charge, everybody else can be whatever color they want to be. Why? Because it's more important that my voice is at the table making decisions. Period. If you are not a woman of color and you are targeting people of color and you are targeting and you don't have anybody representing us, that's a problem.
Okay.
That's a big problem. Now, when BUPeriod gets to the point where, all right, this lane was to access because the funds weren't there. Because I'm not going to go around to all Black lawyers and Black marketing and Black, and I know everybody who I want to work with. I've already reached out to everyone. You're one of them. I already reached out to everybody. I said, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. So my whole, my team is not Black right now, but it's because I took advantage of opportunity, right? That's what they do. I took advantage of. So once that opportunity has phased out, right? And everything has, our objectives and milestones have been reached. The goal is now BUPeriod is in a position where it's a flower with multiple seeds to now go into my community and be like, hey girl, remember I told you I wanted you to be my CEO? All right, bet. How much you want? Okay, good. Oh yeah, I would like your company. I'm just going to contract out your company real quick because there's this marketing campaign I got to do, blah, 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 blah. You feel me?
Right.
Strategy.
Right. No, you've got a great strategy. I mean, and efficient and economical. You partnered with certain accelerators.
Baby, to God be the glory, from your mouth to God's ears. Because when I say I do not have an income, and the money that does come in, that's another thing with our community. We don't do not. The free thing ain't gonna work. That's not gonna work. I pay my engineer. He's a Black man. He gets paid. I make sure that if I don't get paid, I don't need to, right? That's the assessment that you have to do before you even get started, is the self-assessment. What do you need? What's your runway? And who do you need that can do what you cannot do? And how do you redirect those resources over to the people that really need? And if they are people of color, pay them. And find out the value exchange. Maybe they just need a Metro card for the month so they don't have to pay for the train. I'm from New York, by the way. Maybe it's lunch every day because they may not, find out what the value exchange is. Not so quick to hire, right? Because you're not there yet. It's project by project, milestone by milestone. And when you reach the pinnacle of, yes, these are the P&L, the projections are here, boom, you switch up the game, and Wakanda can begin. I didn't say that. They did.
So my last question for you before we open up to the audience questions is, you mentioned earlier about the importance of not selling your company. Why do you think that's important, especially you as a Black founder in fintech? I mean, we were really upset at some other Black in this space that, so particularly products that were so germane to the culture and existence of Black women, why do you think it's important that you yourself, once you reach that point of, mass distribution and connections with people, to not sell?
Well, there's two things. It is very important that your business hat is on tight, because you may not have a choice but to sell. That is how many leeches are out there, regardless of your color, that will buy your company from underneath you. So that's just the first part. So it is incumbent upon you from day one to have the right people that are in your camp as mentors, advisors. It don't cost nothing to give them a cup of coffee once every 6 months, or coffee video chat now with COVID, but keep them abreast, keep them involved, let them want to see you succeed. Because when you start getting closer and closer to that IPO level, those folks, they coming, right? So that's just one part of it. If you don't have the right team, you do the math, you don't have a choice. They're going to take it from you. That's what they do to each other. So you ain't nothing but a pawn. Number two, if you are fortunate enough to have all your ducks lined up in a row, and you have fortified, and you have your barriers around you, and you have a strategy that is agile and flexible and sustainable, right? There are more ways to skin a cat, right? You don't necessarily have to sell. You can merge, you can acquire, you can even acquire. So if you think one company buying you out is going to give you one thing, think about acquiring other companies that have the latest and greatest of skills, or acquiring an older company that may be struggling and you're the next best thing that's going to put them up. Think about that, right? I'm not saying don't sell. There's some women who, a Black woman in the space, I'm not going to name her name. She was like, listen, honey, I just want to, they offered me 400,000. I'm out, 400 million. I'm out. I just want a coffee shop, sit back and chill with my dog, my cat, and my husband. And guess what? Good for you. Does nothing for generational wealth within the Black community. Maybe your family, maybe you go off and do but when it comes to ownership, we have none. So because I know most of the people of color who are in the space, I've watched, I've observed, I see some of them had no choice. I see some of them actually do have a choice. And some are still, most of us are still in that middle because we're still growing. It takes a company a while to actually get to that profit level where it's even a conversation. If you believe the statistics that Black and brown people will have a net worth of zero by the year, 2025? That is a truth, or a number, or a statistic, or whatever it is. That is not something that should be ignored. And it's almost now you are responsible for that statistic. You're not going to save everybody. But that's where because we've never owned any systems, we've never built anything in America outside of America. We're not the decision makers. We have this massive playground where we can create systems that actually work for us, that we have decision making in, that we can be protected. That's why I say technology, right? Because they're not going to bomb us again, and then we turn around and start crying. Because that's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting this, all that expectation and stuff, like, they bomb us, whatever. No, that's what you buying brick and mortars for, right? Why are we all in, so there's strategy to, all right, they got us before, they're probably going to come for us again, but how do we now ensure that we are agile, flexible, and sustainable? And that's the mindset. And if you sell, you're in the clear, but we're back to ground zero. I choose not to be at ground zero. I choose that if I'm the first layer of that foundation for BUPeriod, then that's what it'll be. But you
Right.
best believe it's going to be secure, because I got some hitters to the left of me. Okay.
So in conclusion, it's very important to not sell, but in situations, especially if you didn't have the knowledge or the education up front, you may be forced to sell. But in all,
It is more important. It's more important that I would rather you sell than your whole company get taken from you.
right,
That's a whole nother conversation.
right.
So if you find yourself in a position where they like you're sell,
Right.
you can always build something else later. You can always be diversified, but for that to continue to happen over and over again, and for it to become a trend is a problem. For us selling to become a trend, there are a lot of people who disagree. In my opinion, it's a problem only because of the commonwealth, the lack of ownership as a community,
Right.
of what we have. That is the only reason. Like if we were already kings and queens and sit back, we own land, we own, we owned our own correctional facilities, we owned our own financial institutions, we own, fine, sell, do whatever you want, travel, do foreign direct investments, and that's another thing too. These borders ain't just it. Right. There's something called 95% of the globe. We only represent 5%.
Right.
There's 95% of the globe that if you use technology in the right way, you can reach.
Right. So thank you, Vanessa. We have reached the end of our time, but you make a good point in that it's a responsibility because of the structures that are in place. So I'm glad that you made that point in terms of the responsibility to use a Black woman founder to the Black community. So thank you. I know we may have time for one question, Shanique, if we have one in the audience.
I'm sorry, I talked too much. I got a lot on my chest.
Well, I'm glad that you did. That's what we're here for, to get it all out. But Shanique, do we have a question before we tap out?
Yes, we do. So we had one. Simone asks, how do you recommend people of color tap into this access? And I believe her question was when you were talking about earlier how there's so much access, but we're cut off from it.
Yes.
Quickly,
there's access that we provide to each other, which is saturated. And then there's access for us, which is not readily available, but it's still there. It is incumbent upon us to start where we are locally, wherever you live. What are the grant opportunities where you live? What are the fellowship opportunities where you live? Who are the families that are contributing towards it? What is your industry? What incubators and what accelerators are in your industry? That's literally where you start.
Yeah, so start local.
You start where you are. You don't have to travel to Silicon Valley, honey. Mm-hmm. It's nice, but you start where you are. Literally, find out who are the incubators. Start off with a boot camp. Go to your local library. Every library has a small business administration connection, SBA. Women, there's a certificate called a minority business entrepreneur certificate. Every library will connect you with a small business association, and SCORE, SCORE. That's here in New York. I'm not sure if it's national, but every library has a connection, and you start with that connection and you build it like Legos. Like I said, that was my story. I was very linear in a traditional way because of the comments that I was getting. I said, oh no, I'm gonna have to take my time with this one because, I could have gotten that 10,000 check, but they told me to stay in my lane and to leave the tech out and just be a little old girl that sells pads for $1.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you. No, you provided specifics too, and I'm glad. Like you said, start local. Definitely start where you are, and then make those connections as you go.
Yeah, and LinkedIn is your best friend.
Yes,
you got people who work at these big corporations that are in the industry you're in, you want to speak to their corporate social responsibility people. You want to know how can you get involved, or are there any workshops coming for their diversity, equity, their DE&I programs. Every respectable business that you follow and that you believe in and you have stock in or whatever, you call up their corporate social responsibility CSR department, or go online, look up all of the DEI programs, and you will, one handshake leads to another. Always have a business card and a Gmail account. One handshake leads to another.
Thank you, Vanessa. So let's wrap this up. Thank you again. Where can people find you, Vanessa?
Oh my gosh, please follow me on Instagram at VSIVERLS77. And I encourage you all, because I need some new subscribers, BUPeriod.com. Please subscribe. I just need your email address so I can keep you updated once I do get my money and stuff starts rolling. That's BUPeriod.com. And it's the same at BUPeriod Twitter, at BUPeriod Instagram. Please follow me and share the good news about the good fight. Okay.
Yes, and that's B as in boy and U as an umbrella, not the BEYOU.
No, it's B as in boy, U as an umbrella, P as in Paul, ERIOD. It's to get you to say it. It's to get you to actually become comfortable with the word period.
Right. So, okay, thank you. And for others, we have another interview series or interview session next week. So stay tuned to our own social media and email channels at ELCESQ LLC on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and of course LinkedIn, ELCESQ. So just stay tuned. This is the Black Capital Matters interview series. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for being our first interviewee of the month that, you know, discuss everything, you know, Black Capital, your experience. And I'm so happy that, you know, you found the way, the strategy, and, you know, others can follow right behind you. Like you said, keep following her, watch the movement, follow the movement at BUPeriod. And thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you all. Have a good day and stay safe, because that Rona ain't no joke.
Exactly. Stay safe. Thank